Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Before we begin today's deep dive, I need to add a quick note on the level. This video is designed specifically for B2 English learners. The vocabulary here is richer, the texts are much longer, and the concepts are more abstract than in everyday conversation. If you feel this might be too challenging right now, or perhaps if you are looking for something even more advanced, please check the playlists on our channel homepage for our A2, B1, or C1 level content. There is something for everyone here. Now, for today's B2 challenge, we are exploring one of the oldest, most fascinating, and perhaps most terrifying questions in human history. It's a question we all asked when we were children, dreaming impossible dreams. But today, we are looking at this topic through the complex lens of adult reality. The question seems simple. If you could have one superhuman power, what would it be? On the surface, this sounds like fun. However, having a superpower isn't just about breaking the laws of physics. It's about facing existential crises that ordinary humans never have to deal with. If you had unlimited power, what would stop you from becoming a tyrant? How would you maintain your own moral compass when society's rules no longer apply to you? And perhaps most importantly, would this incredible privilege connect you deeper to humanity, or would it isolate you completely? Today, we have three brilliant young guests, Sarah, Alex, and Mia, from different backgrounds. We pushed them to consider the consequences, the burdens, and the price they would have to pay for power. Their answers are long, detailed, and very revealing. Let's listen to their stories.
If you had asked me this question when I was 10 years old, my answer would have been immediate and simple: flying. I used to walk home from school looking up at the sky, wishing I could just lift off the ground. I wanted to be as free as a bird, soaring through the clouds, far away from homework, rules, and gravity. Back then, a superpower meant escape. It was purely about fun and freedom. But now? Now I am 22. I'm a medical student. I spend my days in hospital corridors. I smell the antiseptic. I hear the machines beeping. I see the genuine, raw suffering in the eyes of patients and their families every single day. My perspective has completely shifted. Those old childhood dreams of flying now seem incredibly selfish to me. They seem childish. When there is so much agony in this world, when there are so many urgent problems that need solving, the idea of using a cosmic gift just to take a scenic tour of the sky makes me feel sick. If the universe somehow gave me the chance to break the laws of nature, I couldn't use it just for myself. It would be a betrayal of my own conscience. Therefore, if I really had a choice, there is only one power I would want. I wouldn't hesitate for a second. The power of instant healing touch. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not talking about just fixing a small cut or curing a common cold. I'm imagining an absolute instantaneous restoration at a cellular level. Imagine this scenario. I walk into a children's leukemia ward. The air is heavy with sadness. I walk up to a bed where a 5-year-old boy is lying pale and weak from chemotherapy. I simply take his small hand in mine. In that second, I can feel the sickness vanishing. His healthy cells regenerate instantly. The color returns to his cheeks. He sits up, fully energetic, completely cured. Imagine Being able to repair a severed spinal cord in seconds, allowing someone who has been in a wheelchair for 20 years to stand up and walk out of the room. Imagine going to a disaster zone after an earthquake and mending broken bodies just by touching them. Modern medicine is amazing, but it is slow, expensive, and sometimes painful. Treatments fail. People die while waiting for miracle drugs. Having this power would mean bypassing all those limitations. It would be the ultimate definition of power for me. The initial advantages are obvious and overwhelming. The joy would be intoxicating. Think about the sheer happiness of turning tears of despair into tears of relief. Think about emptying an entire cancer hospital in an afternoon. I would be giving people back the most precious gift in existence: time. Time to live, time to love, time to be with their families. However, and this is a massive however, underneath this shiny, beautiful dream lies a very dark and heavy reality. I have thought about this a lot, and I believe having this power would probably destroy my own life. The real issue isn't the magic itself. The issue is the incredible ethical dilemmas and psychological crises it would create. The first, and perhaps the most terrifying problem, is the paradox of choice. No matter how miraculous my power is, I am still just one human being. I can only be in one physical location at a time. While I am in London curing one person, thousands are dying in Mumbai, New York, and Tokyo. How do I decide? How do I choose who gets the miracle today? This question already haunts me. Let's create a hypothetical situation. On one side of the city, a young mother with 3 small babies has been involved in a terrible car accident. She is bleeding out. On the other side of the city, a brilliant elderly scientist who is on the verge of curing Alzheimer's disease is having a massive heart attack. I cannot get to both in time. Who do I choose? Do I save the mother because her children need her? Or do I save the scientist because his work could save millions in the future? Do I have the authority to decide whose life is more valuable? And the crucial point is this: when the person I didn't choose dies, am I responsible for their death? If I had regular powers, like super strength, I couldn't save everyone anyway. But with this specific power, every death that happens while I am asleep, or while I am eating, or while I am travelling to another patient, would feel like my fault. The guilt would be unbearable. I think every life I failed to save would remain as an open wound on my conscience. The second major issue is the loss of humanity and extreme isolation. The moment the world discovered what I could do, my normal life would end forever. I would no longer be Sarah the medical student. I would become the healer, the miracle girl, or perhaps to some religious groups, the Messiah, and to others, the threat. Think about the desperation of sick people. It is intense. I wouldn't be able to live in a normal apartment. There would be thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of desperate people camping outside my door 24 hours a day, begging for just one touch. How could I ever walk down the street to buy coffee? I couldn't. People would stop seeing me as a person with feelings, needs, and desires. They would only see me as a resource, a walking pharmacy, a solution to their greatest problem. Would anyone ever want to be my friend just because they like my personality? Or would everyone I meet just be secretly hoping I can cure their grandmother's arthritis? I would constantly doubt everyone's intentions. Furthermore, governments and powerful organizations would immediately try to control me. I would be the most valuable asset on the planet. They might try to weaponize me, forcing me to heal their soldiers so they can return to the battlefield immediately. I might have to live in a secure bunker guarded by soldiers, completely cut off from the real world. This power wouldn't connect me to humanity. It would isolate me behind walls of security and overwhelming demand. The third and final danger is the savior complex and total burnout. How would being constantly surrounded by death, disease, and agony affect my mental health? It takes a huge toll on regular doctors, and they have time off. I would never have time off. I fear I would develop a terrible savior complex. I might start viewing myself as a god, losing touch with reality. Or, more likely, I would drown in feelings of inadequacy. Imagine trying to sleep at night. I lie down, close my eyes, and immediately the thought comes, why are you sleeping, Sarah? Right now, a child is dying in agony. If you get up, you can save them. Your sleep is costing a life. How could I ever rest? How could I ever go on vacation? How could I ever justify sitting in a cinema to watch a movie for 2 hours, knowing that in those 2 hours I could have emptied an intensive care unit? I would run myself into the ground. I would neglect my own health, my own relationships, and my own sanity because the need out there is infinite. This relentless pressure would eventually lead to my own psychological collapse. It would be a never-ending shift, a job from which I could never retire. So, in conclusion, the power of healing touch looks like the ultimate tool for good on the outside. But for the person carrying that power, it would likely be a devastating curse. It means a life of emotional slavery, endless labor, and impossible moral tests that have no right answers. And yet, despite all these terrifying scenarios, despite knowing it would probably ruin my personal happiness, if this power were offered to me right now, would I take it? Yes. Yes, I would. Because even if it destroys me, the chance to see a mother hug her healthy child, a child who was supposed to die today, is worth the heavy price. Maybe I wouldn't have a happy life, but I would certainly have a meaningful one.
Listen, I respect what Sarah is saying. It sounds very noble to want to heal everyone, but let's be real. I live in the actual real world. I'm 23 years old. I have 3 major exams next week. I'm trying to launch a startup business. I need to go to the gym to stay healthy, and my girlfriend is annoyed because I don't spend enough time with her. I feel like I'm constantly running a race where the finish line keeps moving further away. I am drowning in responsibilities and expectations. I don't have the energy to save the world right now. I'm barely managing to save myself from drowning in pressure. So if you ask me what power I want, I don't want flight or super strength. Those are useless in a boardroom or an exam hall. I want the only thing money can't buy. I want the power to stop time. Just think about the pure utility of it. It would be the ultimate solution to the modern human condition of being busy. Imagine this. It's Monday morning. My alarm rings at 6 a.m. I am exhausted. Instead of groggily dragging myself out of bed, I snap my fingers. Click. The world freezes. The annoying alarm clock stops mid-beep. The bird outside my window hangs suspended in the air. The traffic noise instantly cuts out into dead silence. I could sleep for another 8 hours if I wanted to. Then I could get up, work out for 2 hours, read the entire textbook for my upcoming exam, and learn the basics of a new coding language. When I'm finally ready to face the world, I snap my fingers again. Click, time resumes. It's still 6:01 a.m. I am fully rested, prepared, and smarter than everyone else in the room. While everyone else is rushing, stressed, and drinking too much coffee, I am operating with infinite time resources. The advantages for personal success are obscene. I would never feel rushed again. During a difficult job interview, if they ask a tough question, I could pause time. I could research the perfect answer on my phone, assuming the internet still works, or I'd just go to a library. I could rehearse the answer 20 times in the mirror, and then unpause and deliver it confidently. I could become the most accomplished person on the planet. I could learn 5 languages in a day. I could master the piano over a weekend. I would have a massive, unfair advantage over every other human being on Earth. And honestly, in this hyper-competitive world, I would take that advantage without hesitation. But since we are digging deep into this today, I have to admit the downsides would be deeply disturbing. The first major problem with stopping time is the profound silence and isolation. When people fantasize about this power, they forget the physics. If time stops, everything stops. The air molecules stop moving, so there is no sound vibration. It would be the absolute dead silence of a vacuum. It would be incredibly eerie. Furthermore, the people stop. They become statues. You can't interact with them. If I pause time during a party because I'm enjoying myself, the party is instantly over. Everyone is frozen mid-laugh, mid-drink. It's not a social experience anymore. It's walking through a wax museum of my friends. If I spent days or weeks in frozen time just reading or working on my business, the loneliness would be crushing. I would be the only moving, breathing thing on a paralyzed planet. It would feel like being the last person on Earth. I might start talking to the frozen statues just to feel less alone. The second issue is aging and the disconnect from reality. If I stop time for 8 hours every night to sleep extra, that means for every 24 hours that pass for the rest of the world, 32 hours pass for me. I would biologically age faster than everyone else. By the time my friends are 30, I might biologically be 40. I would watch everyone I love living in slow motion while I am racing toward death. Also, this power would fundamentally break my connection to the human experience. The struggle is what makes success meaningful. If I get a perfect score on an exam because I paused time and read the book during the test, did I really achieve anything? I would know I'm a fraud. I would become incredibly cynical. Why respect anyone's hard work when I know I can beat them with a snap of my fingers? Finally, and most darkly, I fear this power would turn me into a sociopath. If I can pause time and move things around, I could steal anything I want. I could manipulate any situation. I could walk into a bank vault, take cash, and leave before time starts again. The temptation to use this power unethically would be constant and overwhelming. When there are absolutely no consequences for your actions because nobody sees them happen, your moral compass starts to spin wildly. So, yes, I want to stop time. I crave the efficiency, the success, and the relief from pressure it would bring. It would make me rich and relaxed. But I suspect it would also make me incredibly lonely, cynical, and completely detached from the very humanity I'm trying to impress with my success. It's a lonely road to the top, and with this power, it would be even lonelier.
I often feel like life is just a giant theater stage, and we are all just badly acting out our roles. We perform for Instagram, we perform for our bosses, We perform for our families. It's exhausting being perceived and judged all the time. I feel a constant pressure to be a certain way just because people can see me. So, when I think about a superpower, I don't want to be stronger or faster or more successful. I want the ability to step off the stage completely. I want invisibility. For me, this isn't about sneaking into locker rooms or robbing banks, which are the childish things people usually joke about. It's about absolute freedom and truth. The initial sense of freedom would be intoxicating. Imagine the ability to go anywhere, absolutely anywhere, without permission. I could walk past the guards at the Louvre Museum in Paris at 3 a.m. and stand alone in the dark in front of the Mona Lisa, experiencing art directly without the crowds of tourists and their cameras. I could sneak onto a plane and travel the world for free, sitting in the aisle, watching the clouds, with nobody knowing I am there. I could attend concerts without a ticket, sit in high-level government meetings to hear secrets, or just walk through dangerous neighborhoods at night without fear. The world would become literally open to me. There would be no locked doors. But the real draw for me is the pursuit of truth. People change when they think they are alone. They take off their masks. If I were invisible, I could see the world as it really is, not as it pretends to be. I could sit in a room with my friends when they think I've left the house and hear what they really think about me. And that is precisely where the nightmare begins. The biggest downside of invisibility is the burden of unwanted truth. Do I really want to know what people say behind my back? I think I do. I crave that authenticity, but the reality would probably break my heart. I might discover that my best friend actually thinks I'm boring, or that my partner is interested in someone else. Hearing these things while invisible is a trap. I couldn't confront them. I couldn't say, "Hey, I heard that," because I would have to reveal my power. I would have to swallow that poisonous knowledge and pretend everything is normal when I become visible again. It would eat me alive from the inside. I would become paranoid, never trusting anyone's smiling face again because I would know what lies beneath the mask. The second, deeper issue is the erosion of identity. We exist largely through the eyes of others. Philosophers have argued this for centuries. When someone looks at you, acknowledges you, speaks to you, they confirm your existence. If I spent days or weeks invisible, never being looked at, never making eye contact, never being spoken to, would I start to feel like I don't exist? It would be a profound existential loneliness. It's different from Alex's loneliness. His world is frozen, mine is moving, bustling with life. But I am utterly irrelevant to it. People would walk straight through me on the street. I would be a ghost in my own life. The longer I stay invisible, the harder it might be to come back to the visible world. Why deal with the messy, difficult reality of interacting with people when I can just observe them safely from the shadows? I might become addicted to being a non-entity. Finally, there is the moral slippery slope. Ethics are largely based on social consequences and shame. We don't steal because we might get caught and punished, and because society judges thieves. If you remove the possibility of being seen, you remove the fear of consequence and judgment altogether. If I'm hungry, why pay for a sandwich when I can just take it from the shop counter and nobody will ever know? It starts small. Then maybe I see an envelope of cash fall from a rich guy's pocket. Do I return it, or do I take it? Nobody is watching. No one will know. How long before the temptation to do truly bad things takes over? If you are unaccountable, how long can you remain a good person? I fear that invisibility would slowly corrupt me, turning me into a voyeur and a thief, justifying my actions because no one got hurt or they won't miss it. So, Invisibility is my choice because I crave truth and escape from social pressure. But I am terrified that the truth would depress me. The escape would turn into permanent isolation, and the lack of accountability would turn me into a monster.
And that brings us to the end of this intense exploration. Wow! If you have listened all the way to this point, I want to say congratulations. Seriously, this was a very long, complex listening exercise, packed with difficult B2 level vocabulary and abstract ideas. Completing a long-form video like this is a major achievement in your English learning journey. You should be incredibly proud of the work you did today. We've heard 3 distinct voices. Sarah, who would sacrifice herself to heal the world, risking total burnout. Alex, who would stop time to conquer the world, risking total isolation. And Mia, who would vanish to understand the world, risking the loss of her own humanity. It makes you realize that perhaps our limitations are what make us human. To support our channel and help us create more excessively long, high-quality listening practice videos like this one, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It really helps the algorithm find other dedicated learners like you. And now, we want to hear from you. This is the most important part. In the comments section below, tell us in detail, which superpower would you choose, and exactly what dark side do you fear it might have? Also, let us know what other complex or controversial topics you would like us to cover in future deep dive videos. We love reading your suggestions. Thanks for watching. Great job today, and goodbye until the next video.